following clip is taken from a full episode of Hooligan Radio, our podcast where we talk movies, gaming, cryptids, conspiracies, true crime, and much, much more. If you like videos like this one, please consider subscribing and checking out our full-length podcasts here on YouTube or on iTunes if you just search Hooligan Radio. Thank you for watching.
My favorite movie of all time is easily Grave Encounters, the first one.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's the best, my favorite scary movie of all times, and I imagine it's a lot of others, too.
It's like top-tier B-list film.
Yeah.
So for people who haven't seen it or heard about it, do you just want to give a brief description?
Yeah, so pretty much Grave Encounters, it revolves around a group of people similar to like Ghost Hunters where they go and explore different places. It's shot as if they were about to like, pretty much like it was shot as all the uncut footage, like with them going through which turns out to be a haunted asylum in Canada. And it's just, so you get to view all of what they're filming, which eventually turns out to be just this crazy night of all ghost activity, getting lost in the asylum, possible like demons going on with the entire thing as well, without like trying to ruin the entire movie for you. But it's almost similar to Paranormal Activity in the sense, but I actually believe this might have come out before Paranormal Activity originally started.
And just for the sake of, because I want us to be able to really dive into these movies,
yeah.
So we are going to go into spoilers. So the time codes will be down below. If you don't want to have any of these movies spoiled, if you haven't seen them, you can skip ahead in the podcast. But yeah, I love that movie as well. It's my favorite.
I think we've all seen it at least 7 times together.
I think at least all together in this room. I know for a fact I've seen it at least into the double digits. If someone
Zach,
tells me
you and I have seen it together at least 14 times.
If someone has told me that they have not seen Grave Encounters, we're watching Grave Encounters.
It's definitely one of those movies where as soon as you find out someone doesn't see it, you drop you're like, okay, well that's what we're doing.
Yeah,
dude, bathtub scene.
Yeah,
bathtub scene.
The worst scene in this entire movie is the bathtub scene, where after running from supposed ghosts, they hide pretty much in the restrooms of the haunted asylum. And one of them noticed that one of the bathtubs that was originally empty is entirely full with blood. And one of them, who at the time was like in some sort of like hypnotic trance, was like looking into it. So one of them go over there to like take him away to like get him to like one of their bathroom stalls to like a safer place. And he gets pulled in by this like woman-esque creature that comes out of the bathtub and goes into the tub out of nowhere completely, like huge jump scare. Everyone then picks up the bathtub to like empty it to like get him, and he's gone, and like the girl's gone with it as well.
And the story was before that, when they were first looking around the building, that someone had slit their wrists in that bathtub. So it was all like stained with blood.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of the beginning of the movie is them actually walking around the entire campus of the asylum with one of the day workers, and they were just going through different activity that's going on, such as that bathtub room where they said a lot of hauntings go here because the lady slit her wrist and died out in the bathtub. They also bring in like some quote unquote like eyewitnesses that see different ghosts. Like they at one point had a couple on there who were like pretty much going to the asylum so they could have sex, but by the time they got there, like shit was happening. They heard noises, they saw different figures like walking through the different doorways through the moonlight. So it's just like building the story up from there with what they could possibly see later on.
I think one of the craziest scenes for me was when they're first entering the building, the doors. What do they have spray painted on them? Isn't it like danger or don't go in or something like that?
Yeah, or it says like to hell. I can't, either the first Grave Encounters, because there's a second one as well. Yeah. One of the doors on it says like gateway to hell or like entering hell or something.
Yeah, like it says something creepy on the doors when they're first entering the building, right? And it's on the outside of the doors.
Yeah.
Then when they lock themselves in for this show that they're making.
Yeah.
So when they start freaking out, they try to break out, they break through the doors, and then past the doors they see the same set of doors that says it on the inside.
Exactly.
So they just basically realize at that point, like, okay, we're screwed.
We're going to die in here. We can't escape this place. It almost becomes, the asylum almost becomes like a living entity where it just like starts getting them lost, like a door that used to go to one room is now like an extra hallway and they're just getting all jumbled up. At one point in time, they even end up in the what's the word? The like catacombs of
like the basements.
Yeah, like all the different tunnels that lead to the different buildings on there even. And overall, just very well made. thought it was one of the
I would
better
say
ones.
well made. I would say well written, probably. Well made. I don't know about some of the scenes were shot kind of iffy, but yeah, I think
I
it was.
can't imagine they had that big of a budget.
Dude, the tongue scene when they're like, is that a tongue? And then they look up and that jump scare, that was the one that got me.
Were the guys on
the
the
bathtub?
ceiling?
I'm like, oh, of course you're gonna die, and that bathtub is going to kill you. But then they're like, what is that? Is that a tongue on the ground?
I let out the girliest shriek when that bathtub scene happened on multiple occasions.
The thing with the bathtub scene that got me is not him getting pulled in, but them dumping out and him just being gone. That's what freaked me out.
Yeah.
But there were a couple lame parts. I mean, we have to admit there were a couple lame parts like in the movie. Like what's the girl's name?
I'm Lance Preston.
I can't remember the girl's name.
But yeah,
she disappears in the smoke. Like
she didn't have a whole part. The part that I thought was absolutely absurd is they bring in this guy who looks like Darwin from the Wild Thornberrys, the freaking monkey, as like the spiritualist, and at one point in time he gets separated from the group, and it just looks like Darth Vader's attacking him, just like picking him up with like the Force and like choking him and like throwing him around. I was just like, all right, this is getting a little too much.
But that kind of leads me into, because I thought I don't want to say the worst part of the movie, but the thing that was kind of was the effects in the movie, like some of the effects and the smoke and everything like that.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about Grave Encounters 2?
I thought it was an okay movie. I thought the first one was better. The second one is more, I think, not as trying to be as scary as the first one, but it's really just trying to build upon the actual like story and like the myth of the asylum. So the second one dives into a lot about how a lot of experiments were going on at the asylum, of course, around that time. Doing like lobotomies, just testing out different medication and like different things that they would think would help the patients with their handicap. And then at one point in time it talks about how devil worshipping starts to get entwined with it with a lot of the doctors and everything like that. So the asylum itself becomes almost like a gateway to hell or like a huge hotspot for demons. And then another individual comes upon it, wants to go pretty much do the exact same thing as Lance Preston. One actual real cool part of the movie that they did, I thought, was in the first movie, before it pretty much starts by with this so-and-so producer coming out saying, this is all the uncut, unedited film of the show. We are the producers of this show. This was like supposed to be the 5th season. Like, we want to show you guys this and stuff like that. And the second one is pretty much one of the guys who saw this uncut and wanted to go explore them out themselves.
Yeah, and he's like a film student in college, and he reviews horror movies online and comes across Grave Encounters.
Yeah.
Which, that premise has been done before. Like Blair Witch 2, I'm pretty sure they watched the first Blair Witch, etc. But the second movie, to me, I think the first movie's better. But I think now, I don't think I could watch the first movie like on its own. I feel like the second movie completes the first movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's so great to watch back to back. And just looking at the beginning of the first movie and the end of the second movie, like you brought up, the beginning of the first movie is that producer, hey, this is all real, this is unedited footage. And then you come to the end of the second movie, you have the same producer sitting there with the main character of the second one going, this is all fake. This isn't real. You know, we just made these movies. But they end it on a tone where it's like, okay, but what if he's lying this time? You know, because you find out he's a kind of a shady, character in that second movie.
And one of my favorite Easter eggs of all movies, like where some like have like cutscenes of like, oh shit, like that person who's been killing everybody's still alive, or like, oh, this person's like gone. They just have like a super quick flash, and you can honestly like see it, so you're just like, oh, that's like a really weird thing, or like something's obviously there. And it's coordinates, and if you actually put that into Google Maps, it actually like gives you the coordinates to the asylum in Canada where this was located at. So it's even building off of that story even more, because pretty much the second one ends with you coming to the realization that the asylum wants people to come there so it can like claim their lives.
Yeah, and I love the ending of the second movie where it shows the film student, and he's like, don't go there. Basically, he's like, there's nothing there, don't go there. And then they flash the coordinates because it's like, they do want you to go there.
Exactly. Like, I would go there.
Yeah, like, that blew my mind when I watched the end of the second movie. So I just love it as a complete, back-to-back.
Series.
Both of them. But I do think the first one's a little bit better.
And I hope they don't try to make a third or, like, do some runoff. Like, I just wanted to stay at these two, and then they'll be